Pac-12 power rankings. I just like saying power rankings like that.
Wow.
It makes me feel like a stronger, larger ape-type creature. I think, hey, it is what it is, man. I think the Pac-12 is a pretty interesting story this year in that it would appear that this is a two-team league. And the question now becomes, who is the best team in the Pac-12? Well, by most accounts, it's the Oregon Ducks. And Mario Cristobal's crew went to Columbus, Ohio to wreck people. And that's exactly what they did, knocking off the Bucks at the shoe. That's a hell of a win. But how do you overlook what UCLA, the Bruins, DTR, Chip Kelly, getting the job done in Westwood? How do you overlook what they're doing? I guess for me, Jake, the biggest factor is what you've done on the field. And I know that UCLA beat LSU, but man, it's awfully difficult to find a more impressive venue and a more impressive win than the Ducks going to beat the Bucks.
Yeah, well, I think it's not only what you did this season, but I think it's what you've been doing the last couple seasons. So, like, I look at, Chip Kelly and UCLA, and I think one thing that hurts them in this conversation is the fact that they've been a pretty crappy program, for a couple seasons now, and so I think there's some questions about, like, I think the main question is, was this LSU or was this UCLA? I mean, who had more to do with UCLA winning that football game? And I think, to me, a lot of me wants to say, no, it was UCLA. They executed, they had a good game plan, and they made plays. But, I would say, I'm like 50-50 on it. What I really want is I want to see what UCLA does, this coming week. That's what I want to see. If we get another impressive win, if they handle their business, all right, then I can feel more comfortable with that. So for me right now, that's why I do put Oregon ahead, because I think Oregon is a program that has been up and down, but for the most part, you know what you're going to get from them. And I think going on the road to the shoe, playing the Buckeyes like that, I mean, honestly, I was shocked that they won that game. And it's amazing to me that you're able to go on the road and do it without two of your best linebackers on defense. That, to me, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, this is just going to be, this is going to be maybe not a bloodbath, but this is going to be probably a 10, maybe even a 14-point loss to the Buckeyes. And that didn't happen. And I think, I think Verdell had a lot to do with that. I think their offensive line had a lot to do with that. And honestly, I think it was they just called a great game. That's really, to me, what kind of set them up for success. I never felt like Oregon was lost or, a rudderless ship at sea at the shoe. Like, I just never felt like they were confused.
Bro, they did not have Kayvon Thibodeau. They did not have Justin Flo. Mm-hmm. There's no way they should have gone in there and won. And C.J. Verdell, excuse me, hey, man, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
He broke Ohio State's spirit in that game. I think you have to give a lot of credit where credit's due. And I think you're spot on. I think you have to put Oregon number one. From there down, it gets a little more difficult. I don't think there's any question that Chip Kelly and UCLA are number two. I mean, that win over LSU, I don't care if it was UCLA or LSU, UCLA won the game. Was it at home? Yeah. Is it as impressive as Ohio State? No. But they still beat LSU at the Rose Bowl. That's a hell of a win.
Yeah, they were shocked there when that happened.
Yeah,
no doubt.
And I think I can make the argument that UCLA is the best team in the conference. But what we've seen on the field, I think it's very close, and I would lean with the Cristobal's over the Kellys. I am taking Oregon number one. I look at what UCLA has done, and the question that I think has to be asked about the Bruins right now, has Chip Kelly, has he turned the corner? Is he back to Oregon Chip Kelly? And does he finally have the talent he needs to run the system he wants at UCLA? And I know that it takes time to run your program through the funnel and add the talent that you need there. But I think Chip Kelly's finally done that, and I think you're seeing that in the results on the field. LSU's a hell of a win. I don't care where it's played.
Yeah.
you beat LSU, you've won a football game, and I look at the way they did that. That's not something that UCLA would have been capable of in the last 5 years, including Chip's first several years here. I just don't think that he would have been capable because the team wasn't ready to do that. I think that Zach Charbonnet has absolutely given them a running game. I don't know, how he gets away from Jim Harbaugh in Michigan, but who cares? He's a Bruin. He's in Westwood, and, man, he looked good doing it too. And I just think that it's interesting to see. I want to see if UCLA can keep doing this.
Yes.
I want to see if they can continue to play at this level, Jake, because if they can, I don't have any doubt. That UCLA can win this conference. And as maligned as they are, I will just say, right now today, I think they're the best team in the conference, but I'm still ranking Oregon ahead because of the Buckeye win.
Yeah, I think that the only thing that's holding UCLA back is just proving that this is actually who they are. I mean, I hate to do the whole, oh, well, that was a fluke win against LSU, and it wasn't a fluke win. I mean, they won the game, but I just want to see them go out and do it a couple weeks in a row and really establish that this is who they are. And honestly, when you really get down to it, I think UCLA being a good program, being a top 3 program in the Pac-12 is crucial for the Pac-12, especially in a time when Clay Helton just got his ass run out of USC, and USC is not in trouble, but they're just in that kind of space where you've got at a minimum an interim head coach, and if you want my honest opinion, I think they will hire someone before the season's out. But either way, USC is not at 100%. So you start to look around this conference and you're like, okay, well, we've got UCLA, we've got Oregon, we probably have Utah, but right now we don't. They got to go out and win a couple games. So where is this conference going? Because after that, you start to look around and you're like, okay, Stanford's got to win, as we all are well aware, but they're not anything to write home about. You start to look at the Arizona schools. Big test coming up for Arizona State, BYU and Arizona State. I have no faith that Arizona State is going to Provo and winning that game. Zero faith in that program. So we'll see.
Wow.
Why should I have faith in them? Help me understand. Why should we believe that Arizona State's going to Provo and winning a game?
Because they're remarkably talented, and on the field during the game, they're a very well-coached team. I look at Arizona State, and I would actually put Arizona State third in the Pac-12 right now. I look at – now, having said that, I mean, is it really impressive that, they've beaten Southern Utah and UNLV? It's probably not. But, I mean, Jaden Daniels is completing 74% of his passes. He looks like a guy that's grown and developed over this summer, which is what he really needed to do. And he does physically look bigger. He's still slight. I mean, somebody needs to get that guy eating some fettuccine Alfredo with extra parm.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, fatten that boy up because he is really small.
He is a small guy.
Yeah. So, he's really going to need some size. But here nor there, it hasn't hindered him, yet. I mean, I look at some of the numbers behind ASU. The only Pac-12 team to already, go over 500 rushing yards. That's saying something. Now, again, it's Southern Utah and UNLV.
Yeah.
And you're going to get a real test in Provo. I mean, for those of you that doubt BYU's capabilities, you go to Provo and try to win a football game.
Yeah.
When you play below sea level in Arizona and then you go to Provo, Utah, and you're playing, at altitude in the mountains, good luck. That's very difficult to do.
Yeah.
And they are not a team in Arizona State that has been tested yet. So it'll be interesting to see exactly, how all that works out. I mean, this is a top 25 matchup with BYU. 2 weeks away, I think in 2 weeks they go to Pasadena to take on the aforementioned UCLA Chip Kellys.
All right.
So that's going to be that. We're going to find out pretty quickly here who Herman the Devils are. But I would agree with you. I don't think they're going to Provo to win this game. I think it's asking an awful lot. Frankly, I think that's why a lot of teams want a home at home, where the home is your home first instead of BYU. But you know what? I think one of the questions that you have to ask about Arizona State is are they Pac-12 championship material. And I think if they go to Provo and win this weekend, I think you can say they are.
Yeah, I mean, that would definitely change the narrative. No question about it. I just think that my biggest struggle with Arizona State is they haven't done anything. They've been a gimmick the whole time. Like, yes, he's done some nice things. Herm's recruited and done some things, but you've got the recruiting scandal. And this is what I say about USC, and I've been saying this since before Clay was fired. You know, what do I hear about USC every year? Oh, my God, they're this great program. They're going to come out and they're going to win the Pac-12, and they're going to be in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And they never do anything. And so to me, this is the first, going to Provo like this is your first big test. And I think that, there's a lot on the line for ASU in this game. And there's much less on the line for BYU in this game. Because BYU's already got their signature win over their rival. And I can guarantee it right now, that place is going to be packed once again. It's the first game after the Holy War in which you won. You can't tell me that house isn't going to be packed again.
Well, and weather is supposed to be beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be perfect.
But I think this conversation right here goes a long way to the Pac-12's vulnerable. I mean, when you look at Washington and USC, those are two teams that are usually standing on top of the ladder, and both those teams are wounded, limping around right now. So I actually think if you can get, again, Oregon, UCLA, and Arizona State, but, I mean, they're going to beat up on each other. I mean, that's what the Pac-12 is. Hopefully one of those teams comes out unscathed. Hopefully one of those teams comes out undefeated. Let's talk about your Utah Utes. They are fourth. I put them fourth in the conference right now. Obviously the BYU loss is a tough one. I think it is shocking the lack of quality on that offensive line. I think that is the number one storyline for the Utah Utes right now, is trying to figure out how to keep Charlie Brewer clean and give him just a little bit more time to throw the football. I mean, obviously Micah Bernard's performance is something that you're going to have to consistently get, because if you're going to protect the quarterback, he's going to need a running game, because there's no better offensive line help than running the football well. And I think we saw Micah Bernard doing that at 10.1 yards per carry. Now, that's not going to happen in conference play. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah.
But this is one of those things where you have a little light there. Now, again, you're going to San Diego to die. If you are the Utah Utes, I put you fourth in the conference right now. You got to go to San Diego State and make a statement. That San Diego State game, you have to make a statement, because you have Arizona State and UCLA 2 out of 3 weeks. This is not going to be easy. And I think you can see why this conference is known as a conference that the war of attrition is what wins you the conference championship. Staying healthy, being able to win big games, being able to battle and compete is really important in this conference. And, Jake, I think their schedule, obviously Weber was a nice, scrimmage.
Yeah.
But you found out why Utah doesn't necessarily love the Holy War. Because you lose to BYU, and now all of a sudden, there's doubt being sown into each one of your men's mind. And you can't have that. Like a current assessment, where are you with Utah? Do you put them fourth?
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously I'm taking Utah over, I'm not nearly as high on ASU, and I'm not saying you're being unrealistic. I think ASU definitely has a lot of talent, and it is a good program, but I'm just not as high on them. I still think they have a lot of proving to do, whereas I look at Utah and I say, okay, this is the same program and largely the same team as you had in 2019. I don't really count last year for anybody, because last year was just such a whack year, basically. I mean, you played 5 games or whatever it was. You didn't really play football last year. So when I look at 2019, I say, okay, this is a team that can come together and rattle off 7, 8, 9 wins in a row to get to where they need to get to. And yes, it all starts with San Diego State. And I think that the Holy War is a really tough matchup, but I think it's high risk, high reward. If you win the Holy War, we're having a different conversation. You're 2-0. You're heading to San Diego State.
Your chest is puffed out.
Yeah, So if they would have showed up and done their job, they'd be in a great place. Now that said, I don't think they're in some horrible situation right now. Yes, San Diego State is a difficult opponent. There's no question about that. However, let's not forget who the head coach of this team is, Kyle Whittingham. He is not some.
You mean the head coach at USC?
Yeah. Let's not forget who the head coach of Utah is. The future head coach of USC in about 2 seasons. So it's all
How many
gonna work
people
out.
did we piss off talking about
Man,
that
dude.
yesterday?
I mean, bro, like you'd have thought that. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just, yeah. It's
you
not
guys
good.
hate the Utes.
Yeah. I guess my biggest thing with Utah is that they have to continue to run the football, and they have to find themselves now. You can't. This San Diego State game right now, today, it is the season, because if you lose this game, now you're likely just not going to do much this year.
You're
You
gonna
have
flounder.
to win this game.
Yeah, it's a big week, and I think you'd like to see a little. Look, I think Charlie Brewer's been good, certainly not great. You'd like to see an elite performance out of him, but to get that, I think you're going to have to get the Covey-Keithy thing rolling.
Yes.
Because we haven't seen that yet. And I think you're going to have to get some better offensive line play. I think, again, I have no doubts about Micah Bernard. I don't. The question is, who's number 5 in the conference? Because I don't know that there's a real solid answer here.
No.
You know who I'd put number 5 in the conference? BYU. And this is
Bro,
an
you're
interesting.
gonna piss people off, dude.
BYU.
Bro.
Brigham Old University. Here's the question. If BYU were in the conference, honest to goodness, I think I'd have them 3rd.
Yeah.
I think I would have it be Oregon, UCLA, UCLA. I'd have it be Oregon, UCLA, and then BYU, Arizona State, and Utah.
Yeah, I would. The way I would say that is Oregon's number 1 because of the road win, because of what they did, and then I would have BYU and UCLA tied for number 2. I don't think that UCLA is. I don't think that I really don't think that UCLA is that much better than BYU.
Guy, what are you talking about?
Okay, call me crazy when they get their
Jake,
ass
wait,
beat this
Jake,
week,
Jake, you're crazy.
Yeah, cool.
UCLA.
I'll be delusional,
UCLA is very good.
Okay, we'll see.
DTR is playing the best football of his career.
I don't give a damn. You're getting out
my
way
man.
too far ahead of this
My man,
team right now.
look,
way too far ahead.
Listen, you're my son, and after you say things like that, I like you. I don't love you.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a liability as it is, but I look at, I look. I look at UCLA, and I start looking at their schedule. And I'm telling you right now, right now, boy, I'm telling you right now that with this schedule, Hawaii, LSU open September 11th. Listen to this run. Fresno State at Stanford. Now, we know that's not going to be the easiest game. Arizona State at Arizona, at Washington, Oregon at Utah. If they lose just one of those games, they're the best team in the Pac-12. They're the best team in the Pac-12. And
yeah, but they're not. They're going to lose more than one of those games. I mean, that's going to happen. I'm just telling you. And the reason I say that is because I'm telling you, we're getting too far ahead of this team right now. I'm telling you right now, dude. Like, I get it. It was LSU, and that was a quality win and everything. But I'm telling you that Chip Kelly in this team needs to prove that they can do it. 2 or 3 weeks in a row. Now, that said, it is a great win over LSU. That was the Pac-12 needed that. That was like one of the most important wins of this season so far. There's no question about that. But I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, this program is all of a sudden a world beater because they won one game.
Right, but let's keep this in perspective. Nobody's saying that UCLA is going to be a national champion.
No, but you're saying they're one of the best teams in the Pac-12.
I think
by record they are.
No, let's be real clear. I think they are the best team in the Pac-12.
Yeah,
I think Oregon. Listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from the Oregon Ducks. I'm truly not. I think they had a nice win at Ohio State. I think that's the top of the mountain for this team. I think when I look at Oregon and I look at who the Ducks are, I just think you lost. You had your 2 best defensive players out, and Ohio State couldn't beat you. That's an Ohio State problem. Their defense, and I like C.J. Verdell. He's a great running back. Ohio State doesn't give up that kind of performance if they're playing on Mars, let alone the shoe. This was an odd weekend for Ohio State. I need Oregon to back that up repeatedly.
Yeah, I agree.
Mario Cristobal, for all of the USC rumors and what everybody's talked about with Cristobal, I'm telling you, this is not who his teams have been at Oregon. That's just not who they've been. So I have a hard time hanging on to Cristobal as all of a sudden he's got, Oregon playing amazing football, because I don't think they are. So I look at Chip Kelly. The thing that stands out to me about Chip Kelly, and again, you can call me crazy if you want. The thing that stands out about Chip Kelly and their win over LSU, that's how Chip Kelly football teams play football when they're good.
Yeah.
And again, DTR is a young, athletic stud at quarterback. He is going to take them wherever they're going to go. They're going to go as he goes.
I'm just really surprised that you're putting this kind of weight into Chip Kelly. That's what I'm surprised about. Like, I'm surprised that you're feeling like Chip Kelly has, righted the ship, if you will, after one win. Like, I guess what I'm really surprised about is that you feel that the UCLA win at home against an LSU team is a bigger or a more, however you want to say it, like a more substantial win than the Ducks going on the road. But I
don't. And that's why today, right now, I have Oregon number 1 in my power rankings. Power rankings. Power. That's why I have Oregon number 1 in my power rankings.
Does everybody say power like that? Like, can we all just say that?
Power
all day?
rankings.
Our power rankings.
World of Atlas video game power rankings.
That's every day.
This is fucking football. It's power ranking. I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop. Anyway, the point is, that's why I have Oregon number 1.
Yeah.
But I will tell you again. I look at the way Dorian Thompson-Robinson beat LSU.
Yeah. That was a hell of a performance. I don't doubt that, dude. I don't doubt it.
But they might as well had on Oregon uniforms.
Yeah.
This is the kind of style that Chip Kelly plays.
Yeah.
He recruits to that style.
Yep.
So when you get Charbonnet in from Michigan, and you get that kind of performance, Capital One, it's ESPN.
NIL deals.
ESPN.com. It's when you get that kind of performance, this is who Chip Kelly teams are.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm in on this, because the kids have clearly bought in, right? I mean,
that's without doubt. Yeah.
The kids have bought into the system.
Yeah.
Now, is Chip Kelly a national championship winner? No, he's not. Am I saying they're gonna they're better than Alabama? Bruin's up. No, I don't even know what the fight phrase for UCLA is. But Bruin's on.
Bruin's on.
Woo, fight on. I don't even know what the UCLA fight song means. But my point is,
dude.
You can't tell me that Chip Kelly ain't playing Chip Kelly kind of football.
I mean, okay, so here's what. So you were just reading the UCLA schedule, right? So Oregon's got Stony Brook. Never heard of you. They're going to win that game. Then
I hope they lose.
That would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Go to the shoe and beat Ohio State to lose to Stony Brook.
Cool.
Then you're into the Pac-12 play. So you get. So let's just assume, right? Okay, so win against Stony Brook, win against Arizona.
Yes.
Win against Stanford.
Yes.
Win against Cal.
Yes.
And then the matchup we're all waiting for: Oregon, UCLA at UCLA. That's what we're waiting for.
That's a win for UCLA.
Because then after that, I mean, if you think about it, and if you want to take UCLA's schedule back out after that, you're pretty much caked the rest of the way. You've got Colorado, Washington State, Utah, Oregon State. Utah is the only one of those where you're like, all right, they may lose that game. It really just depends where Utah's at.
I'm telling you now that this is the single biggest problem in the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Is that they all punch each other in the face. And I think that's the most difficult part of this, is that teams like Utah, this is why it's very difficult for a team like Utah to get over.
Yeah.
Because you can develop, grow talent,
mm-hmm.
and you got to run through a meat grinder. And the scheduling part of this thing, and it'll be nice to get a new TV deal in the Pac-12. It really will, because you got to get them on. You don't send UCLA to, several years ago, they went to Corvallis in a snowstorm on a Friday night.
Game.
Yeah, they went to Corvallis to die, right? I mean, so it'll be interesting. Let's get some of your thoughts in here, because I see a lot of you here. Brylark says, morning, boys. What's up, Brylark? Good to see you, buddy. Greg Hawkins, thanks for being here. Greg Hawkins, as it turns out, is like some kind of big-time TV dude.
Bro.
Like, I was peeping his Instagram. Like, I was stalking you, Greg, on Instagram. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I mean, I'm better looking than you still, but I mean, you've got like 274,000 people that follow you.
Oh, what a loser!
Come on, step your game up.
Yeah, let's get to 500,000, please.
My 800 followers on Instagram are way better.
Let's go. Good to see you, Greg. He says, I'd also put Oregon above UCLA right now. Mirzinski says, what about Bieniemy to USC if they can get him? I don't love that. I don't love that hire. And this is something in our pre-show meeting while we were planning our power ranking. Sorry. In our pre-show meeting today, we were arguing over Eric Bieniemy to USC. Is that a good hire? Now, I'm going to tell you that Jake was pleasuring himself thinking about Eric Bieniemy being hired.
I want it.
At USC. He's like, I'm thirsty, bro.
Right.
And I was simply saying, well, you know, if you're USC, sure, hire a guy who's never been a head coach before, never had to recruit in college before, never had to be in charge of making men. Like, I mean, that's fine.
Y'all about to fuck this up.
Yeah, go ahead, do what you've always done. You know, I mean, that's cool. Well, but he's won Super Bowl as like a coordinator. Do you understand that Eric Bieniemy's never been a head coach on any level? If you're USC, can you take that risk,
bro? I mean, listen.
Wait, let me single you up on the camera.
Go ahead and single me up because this is one of the this is.
Welcome to the Eric Bieniemy Fan Club Video of the Week.
All I'm saying with Bieniemy is that he has been running the most potent offense in the NFL for quite some time.
Eric Bieniemy is sexy.
What now? Let me tell you what now.
Exactly.
You know, I just think that Bieniemy is. I think that Bieniemy would be a good fit. I think he's younger. I think he would do really well in LA, and I think that Bieniemy has been trying to get a head coaching spot in the NFL for how many seasons now? You know, and so I think for him, you know, he's passionate about getting to a head coaching position. Now, you're right. I agree with you that, you know, yes, there is a bit of risk in it because he's never had to do the recruiting thing, and the college game is different. There's no question about that. But I just think, you know, when you look at the available pool of candidates, like we were talking about yesterday on the show, it's not deep. And I think that
I'd agree with that.
If you're USC, it's going to be really hard to find, like, you know, we were talking about Kyle Whittingham, you know, considering this position and what that would look like. There are not many Kyle Whittingham-esque candidates who are currently running a college football program who are available.
But there's a lot of good names who would take that job. And I think, again, not to be redundant, because I know we were ad nauseum about this yesterday, but USC is still a premier job in college football. And it's not for everybody. I think that was your best point yesterday. I don't think USC is for everybody. But if you're Eric Bieniemy, he's got 1 year as an offensive coordinator at Colorado, his alma mater. I mean, that's the extent of his leadership in college football.
Which way do you think is more risky? An NFL offensive or defensive coordinator going to a head coaching position in college, or a college head coach trying to be an NFL head coach?
Oh, geez. I don't think there's any doubt it's much more difficult to go from college to the NFL as a head coach. I mean, as Nick Saban infamously found
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer right now. Like, you can't just run dudes over like you can in college.
Chip Kelly.
They're not scared of you. They're not scared. Like, and I could make the argument Chip Kelly was far more successful than Nick Saban was in the NFL.
Oh, I would agree
right?
with that.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's very difficult to go to the NFL and you can't threaten to call my mom. You can't threaten to pull my Scully if I don't, lose some weight. You can't threaten to.
You don't have leverage.
Right? I'm here. I'm good. What the F are you going to do about it? I'm not going to. You're not going to threaten me with, like, oh, you're going to lose reps if you don't go to class. Okay, cool. I'm good. You're going to play me because you want to win.
How dumb do you think I am?
Right? Like, that's the problem in the NFL. Right? So, anyway, my point is, if I'm USC, Eric Bieniemy's a risk. If I am the, Jamoke freak, whoever's, the Cincinnati Bengals should have hired Eric Bieniemy as their head coach.
What about Stony Brook?
Now, no. Eric Bieniemy ain't taking the Stony Brook job, man. He should be a head coach in the NFL.
He should, but that's not going to happen.
And he should not. He should take the USC job if it's offered. USC should not hire Eric Bieniemy. That's a risk. You need a guy who's won and won big. You need Chris Peterson. You need Kyle Whittingham. You need Urban Meyer. But I don't know that any of those three guys want or are available to take that job. Because, again, anyway. Eric Bieniemy is a hell of a coach, and he's going to be a great NFL coach.
Yeah.
If I'm USC, I can't afford the risk because you have no idea what he's going to be like as a head coach, mainly because he's never been one.
Right.
Let's see. Greg Hawkins says Oregon mauled Ohio State. They looked fantastic. Yes, they did.
And that's
yes, they did.
And that's kind of the thing. Like, you make a good point that even with the injuries, they still handled Ohio State. So just the same way we're saying that about UCLA and LSU, you have to say it about Oregon. But I don't know, man. We watched most of that game, and I was like, man, they're dialed in. I mean, they're smooth. They're ready to go. Like, they have good pace about them. Like, everything was good.
I just don't know what happened to. And Ryan Day's talked a lot about it this week. Ryan Day, the head coach at Ohio State.
Some guy.
He's just some guy. He basically said they're completely retooling their defense.
Yeah.
Because Verdell just ran that ass over.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
road graded you, dude.
Had his way all day. And you can't have that. And so my point is, I think UCLA and Oregon are very good teams. I think UCLA, I don't even know that it's close, is the best team in the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
Where would BYU fit in? I would not put them second. I would have it be right now today to be Oregon, UCLA, BYU, Arizona State, Utah.
Man, you think Arizona State's better than Utah?
Well, because Arizona State hasn't lost yet. But, I mean, I think there's some difference. I have a lot of concerns about Utah's offensive line.
It was not good.
Man, I'm telling you, I still believe in Charlie Brewer, but now I have a lot of question marks. And this is what losing does to you.
Yes.
I mean, it makes you stand around and you wind up scratching your balls and saying, like, okay, what was that? Right? Like, you're sitting, if you're Charlie Brewer, you're sitting in front of your locker and you're like, what was that? We just got boat raced by BYU.
Yeah.
And now we got to go to San Diego State. And then we get into conference play.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yep.
You better come out, and I guarantee you, it's 7 o'clock in the morning in Salt Lake City right now. Witt's been at work for 3 hours. I mean, like, their nose is to the grindstone trying to figure out this offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
And the good news is you have a really good defense to practice against, but that offensive line, you show up at, Cafe Coyotes.
Get you, bro.
You show up at Cafe Coyote in Old Town San Diego.
Place, I miss that place so much.
Well,
dude.
see, Mrs. Monty didn't want to, go have fun, so we didn't go to Southern California, so we were not allowed. She grounded us because
Whatever.
we're going to talk about the iPhone. She's getting an iPhone.
I don't know how you did it.
I traded sex, travel, and my entire shoe budget to get her to get onto an iPhone.
You're so fucked.
Yeah, it's so expensive we still can't afford the iPhone, but I traded all that stuff in return. But anyway, we'll talk about that. Anyway, the point is, Cafe Coyote, Old Town San Diego.
So good, dude.
My dudes. But you better show up in San Diego ready to blow some people up. And this is where you define who Kyle Whittingham is as a head coach. Because these are the games, and everybody's going to be like, oh, it's not a conference game. What do you mean must win? This is a must win.
Yeah.
This is where you throw it on the table and pull out a measuring tape and be like, hey, this is who we are. This is who we are. Oh, you want a bench? Okay, I can bench 225. You can't. Let me throw it up 50 times. Like, this is where you flex and you're like, hey, sorry, San Diego State, but we're ending some careers tonight.
What do you bench?
That's what Utah's got to do.
Yeah.
And that's who Kyle Whittingham has always been as a coach. You lose a game like you lost to BYU, now we're going to come out and we're going to break your neck. Sorry, I know it's not your fault we lost to BYU, but we're kicking your ass anyway.
Are we clear on that?
Let's see how that goes. Now,
Okay.
if you're USC, here's a question for you. Is USC top 7 teams? So if we go Oregon, UCLA,
Yeah.
Arizona State, Utah, I mean, I could probably make an argument for Colorado. I'm not in on Stanford at all.
USC is fifth.
I think
is fifth.
USC is the 5th best team in the conference.
USC is fifth just on merit alone, and I think that this whole thing is going to go one of two ways for USC. You fire the head coach, the program's burning to the ground. That next week is vital. You're either going to come together as a squad,
Yes.
and you're going to play a hell of a football game, and Keaton Slovis is actually going to wake the hell up and make some throws, or you're not. and it's going to be a 3-win season, and you're going to be the embarrassment of the conference.
It's Pride Week at USC.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is like everything.
No doubt about it.
As a captain on a college football team, and the captain of the USC football team, I would expect Slovis to come out ready to play, like ready to get after it, and I hope that they win. I really do. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and what I think is interesting, and Mitch wants to know why all of a sudden we're Utah fans. Okay,
we go.
There
through
were some
this every
comments.
day.
Yeah, there were some comments on YouTube yesterday about this too. We're not Utah fans.
Mm-hmm.
We're not BYU fans. I'm a Pac-12 football fan.
Right.
But frankly, my team's Notre Dame. And we're going to lose in the college football playoff that we shouldn't get into every year, but we do. We're going to lose. And Alabama, and look, we're going to get run over by Alabama because Manti Te'o's fake girlfriend, called the plays that week. Like,
Suck my ass.
yeah, we're going to get rolled. I'm a Notre Dame fan. So I have the luxury of being unbiased when it comes to talking Utah, BYU, or anything in the Pac-12.
Right.
Because I am fortunate enough to hate USC because Notre Dame's always better than USC.
Obviously.
It's just the way it goes.
Right.
But I look at USC right now, and I'm telling you, they're still their rosters is deep, and his talent there too deep is freaking phenomenal. And again, I wouldn't want to be Wazoo this week. Washington State, we're coming to stomp on your testicles. If I'm the Trojans, I'm coming for you. Like, I'm saying a lot of outrageous things.
Think that's HIPAA?
Because their testicles are covered by HIPAA. If they were on paper and they were record.
Think that's HIPAA?
But, my point is, if I'm Washington State,
Yeah, it's not going to be good for you.
You should probably put an extra chin strap on each helmet this week. Because my guess is USC is going to come out and try and prove a point. Because every man in that locker room is upset that Clay Helton's not going to be on the sideline.
Yeah.
He is a really well-respected man. Look, again, Clay Helton's a really good guy. He's a great human being. Just not a great football coach.
Yeah.
That's a guy that's a coordinator, not a head coach, right? Eric Bieniemy. Anyway, my point is...
Yeah, the difference is Bieniemy hasn't had the chance to fail yet.
Very true. And Clay Helton's failed a lot. But my point is, I think USC is going to prove a point. And their schedule, I think, actually plays well for them. If you look at USC's schedule, at Wazoo, home for Oregon State, okay, they're going to be 3-1. At Colorado, that's a really difficult game, and I actually think Colorado. I mean, the Texas A&M game, if it showed us anything, that Colorado can compete.
Yeah.
USC is going to be 4-1. They're going to lose at home to Utah. They're going to be 4-2. They're going to lose at Notre Dame because the Catholics always win. I don't know what the religious thing has to do with it, but anyway. Hopefully they beat Notre Dame so Brian Kelly gets fired. Let him take the SC job.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tebow. Arizona at Arizona State, Cal at Cal, UCLA and BYU. By the way, you're probably going to be an 8-9 win team. And you fired your head coach.
Yeah.
That's why I said USC's still a good job. All right, let's get some more comments in here. Cody Strickland, good morning to you. He says, it's been so long. Good morning. And by the way, I want to say how great it was on 9/11 that it in the news didn't post much of anything bad like Biden or Trump. Yeah, well, that was refreshing. I agree. Greg Hawkins, Arizona State is too inconsistent to be a, quote, go-to program. Agree.
Yeah.
Edgar Garcia, what's up, Edgar Garcia? Where have you been? You want this Xbox, Edgar? Well, you should probably post a picture that you're subscribed
Like
to.
Greg Hawkins did.
Like Greg Hawkins did.
Yeah.
To his 275,000 followers on Instagram.
You have a deal.
What a stud. By the way, we're rapidly approaching 2,100 subscribers. Only 400 away from giving away the Traeger Smoker.
Yep.
And we're going to give away an Xbox Series S. All you have to do is subscribe. Take a picture you're subscribed. Put it on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok, and tag both The Monty Show, MONTY, The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars. Brylark says, how is Arizona State ranked 19th? They haven't shown anything to deserve that.
I agree completely.
Okay, well, rankings are always a projection. How do you think we have preseason rankings? How do you think we have preseason All-Americans?
Yeah, but we're not in preseason anymore. They played 2 weeks, and all of a sudden they're 19th in the country after they beat Stony Brook or whoever the hell they played.
But they played well. They've played well. Jaden Daniels. Hey, I don't know. I know nobody's watching Arizona State football because, well, nobody does. But my point is, they've played really well.
Yeah. Against who?
You're
who?
impossible.
I'm not impossible, dude. I'm not impossible. They should not be a top 20 team when you've played UNLV and whoever else they play.
Hey, who's anybody played at this point? We've had a couple of big
Utah's
games.
played BYU. Oregon's played Ohio State.
Why is Alabama number one?
Because Alabama, year after year, shows that they are the best team in the country.
But they beat Mercer. Oh, but it's
you want to say I'm impossible.
Come
You're
on.
being impossible. Arizona State does not have the merit or the consistency that Alabama has. That is a ridiculous comparison.
Okay.
It's not even close.
Oklahoma's 2-0. Do you have any idea who Oklahoma's played?
No, I don't.
Tulane and Western Kentucky Weed Eater Building Institution.
And I would take Oklahoma over Arizona State every day.
Well, fuck. I mean, who's
Then what are we
who's
talking
not?
about? Then what are we
Who's
talking
not?
about? Why are you
They're
bringing
19th.
Oklahoma and Alabama into the conversation,
They're
dude?
19th. Who cares?
Like-
right? Like they're not. My point is, everything's a projection. My wife just murdered a mosquito with a tennis racket, electrified thing. I'm proud of you, babe.
I'll drop that motherfucker.
Damn right. But my point is, it's projections. Who cares? Ask me in October where they're ranked, because that's when it's going to start to matter, right? When the college football playoff rankings come out, ask me where they're ranked. Who cares where you're ranked right now? Just go kick some ass. You know, like that to me is why it matters. Colin says, good morning, and that go Gators. Okay, Colin. Jeremy Bolton says, you got to put Bishop Sycamore 5th in the Pac-12.
You are fake.
Give me that. Exactly right. Give me that Bishop Sycamore bomb. God, I love you. Jeremy Bolton every day comes ready.
Every day,
He
bro.
comes ready.
Every day.
Colin also says, no Bishop Sycamore just got an invite to the Big 12.
Yeah. Come on.
Exactly right. Greg Hawkins says, LOL, thanks. Yeah, I'm from Utah, but I work on TV in the Philippines. Oh, no kidding. Wow, that's cool,
dude.
bro.
That's cool.
very cool. Oh, wow.
So wait,
Comment
does that mean I'm not saying you will, but if you were to win the Traeger, does that mean we have to ship it to the Philippines, or is it staying here?
Oh, no, Greg Hawkins. Please if you win the Traeger, please give us your Utah address, please. I mean, you're a baller, so I'm assuming you have multiple homes across the globe.
I want it.
You know. Brylark says Bishop Sycamore can't join the Big 12. They already signed with the SEC, correct? Colin says, we already got our new bottom feeder. We got Texas. Okay, am I the only one that hates if Texas never wins another game in any sport,
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah. I
Like-
mean, outside of Kevin Durant being from Texas, I'm good.
Here we go.
What?
The problem is, here's the problem.
What?
The problem is
Uh-huh.
Texas being in the SEC is going to allow them to recruit at a higher level.
Yeah.
It's going to keep a lot more kids in Texas, I think. But my God, I'm already over it. They suck.
Yeah.
Like, go away. Like, Texas is no. Austin Dent says we're not BYU centric. Then you ask, how does this impact BYU for things that have very little to do with BYU? Well, I would tell you the BYU's 2-0 against the Pac-12.
Yeah, how does it have very little to do with BYU when they're playing a bunch of Pac-12 teams
Who
this
do
year?
they play this week? They
That's
play
gotta
Arizona
be,
State.
with all due respect, that's got to be one of the dumbest things you've ever said, dude. I mean, they play the Pac-12 a ton
Hey,
this
man,
year.
with all due respect,
I mean,
and
that's just a silly take.
with
dude.
all
What
due
do you mean it
respect,
has
and
no-
I mean no
What
respect
does it have?
at all.
What do you mean it has nothing to do with BYU? They play the Pac-12 all the time, dude.
Anytime you start a sentence with all due
I
respect,
mean, Jesus.
Jesus.
How
is
many?
deserving
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
respect.
I'm sorry, Joseph. How many times? How many times is BYU going to wreck a Pac-12 school season?
What happened to this show? today?
Every single year they do it.
Eric C says a Josh McDaniels type would work. Josh McDaniels would be a great hire at USC because he's been a head coach.
I love this. I love this so much.
What? He's been a head coach.
He hasn't done a damn thing as a head coach. He was a head coach for 5 minutes, dude.
Well, he was a head
For
coach.
5 minutes.
Well, but Eric Bieniemy doesn't even have
Man,
5
dude.
minutes.
I can't. They're the same guy, dude.
They're not. Oh my.
They're the same guy. They're the same guy. They're primarily offensive coordinators.
Jesus.
Joseph.
Joseph,
Josh McDaniels.
I understand that my seed mistakenly swam into her womb, but please help me with patience, please. Josh McDaniels, you could make the argument that he's the reason Tom Brady is so good.
Nope.
A.
Nope.
B. Josh McDaniels has a fistful of Super Bowl championship
Because
rings.
of Tom Brady.
Okay, and you're here because of your mom, not my sperm. Fine. The point
I
is,
doubt that.
yeah, apples to oranges, dick.
It's
Josh
amazing
McDaniels
to
still
me.
has all those
It
rings.
doesn't matter. When it comes to USC, none of that matters.
Best coach in the history of the NFL
Dude,
is
it doesn't matter. Bill Belichick.
not Eric Bieniemy.
Like, it doesn't, like, it's amazing to me. Like, I don't understand
It does matter.
I don't understand how you use this logic. Oh, well, Josh McDaniels is so much better of a hire for USC because he's got a bunch of Super
He
Bowls.
has experience.
When has he
has
ever
got-
done that? When has he ever recruited? When has he ever run a college
Right,
program?
but
He's never
here's
done
the
any
thing.
of that.
But here's the thing. You can put Josh McDaniel in any living room in this country, and he's going to say, "Hey, you want to touch my Super Bowl rings?" And hey, by the way, Tommy and I are really close. And hey, by the way, I can get you ready to go to the NFL because I know what that takes. And by the way, you want to touch my Super Bowl rings? Like the guy, he works for Bill Belichick, who is the greatest coach in the history of the NFL.
Yeah,
And I don't
whatever,
care
man.
if it was Tom Brady or not. Josh McDaniels' resume is incredible. Eric Bieniemy is going to be a very good head coach, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Just not your first job can't be USC football when you've never been a head coach before.
Okay.
You've been an offensive coordinator at Colorado. You have very little college experience.
But that's the same logic, dude, for both of them.
But it's
You're
not.
holding it against
Okay.
Bieniemy and not holding it against
Dude,
McDaniels.
I don't see
bro.
how you're not seeing
Eric
the difference
Bieniemy,
between the two.
Dude, Eric Bieniemy he made Patrick Mahomes. Do you realize that? Like, do you want to talk about recruiting?
Wait, I would slow your roll. Who does he work for? He works for Andy Reid, who routinely, everywhere he goes, has made his quarterbacks elite. He made Donovan McNabb a Super Bowl quarterback who threw up on the field.
Yeah, we'll agree to disagree on this.
I
just can't get down with your logic on this.
Well, I don't know. It's not logic. It's fact.
It's not.
I look at the fact that, A, Josh McDaniels is younger than Eric Bieniemy, and he's accomplished far more because he has far more experience at a much higher level. That's why.
So wait, what's the higher level? What's the higher level that he has much more experience in?
The much higher level is the New England Patriots winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl, consistently putting elite offenses on the field. And when they didn't have talent, because they didn't buy wide receivers, he turned out Chris Hogan.
But I want you to hear what you're saying right now. I'm not trying to be difficult on this. What are you saying? What is your logic for McDaniels being better than Bieniemy?
Hey, he's been a coordinator on 6 Super Bowl teams. 6. Like the greatest dynasty in the history of the NFL. He's been there for 6 Super Bowls.
So when I say Eric Bieniemy developed Patrick Mahomes, you want to take that away from Bieniemy and say that was Andy Reid. But then when we talk about McDaniels, you want to say, hey, he was the guy that led the offense to Super Bowl after Super Bowl. When I say, okay, well, that was Belichick, we're not going to use that same logic.
Bill Belichick is a defensive mind. He's a defensive guy. And I think when you look at Andy Reid, this is Andy Reid's claim to fame is quarterbacks. Whether that's Brett Favre, like you can go through. I mean, with all due respect, I just think we're talking about apples and oranges. Eric Bieniemy and Josh McDaniels are 2 completely different guys. Josh McDaniels all he's been is a winner. He had one blip on the radar with the Denver Broncos for 1 season, and it went horribly wrong. And I agree, that's not a great thing, right? But he goes back to New England in 2012 after the Rams job. They hire him immediately back as soon as they can at New England, and they just start winning again. And he's won 6 rings, and he's 45 years old. Like the guy has, his experience is exponentially further, deeper, and more successful than Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
I mean, I don't, and I'm not trying to be a jerk about this, but he's got 1 Super Bowl. And yeah, he was 2 years ago. He was the coordinator of the year, and
I'm telling you,
get it.
wherever he goes, he's going to be a highly successful head coach.
I agree with that. I
But
just
you
don't think if
you
you're
think that
USC,
the USC job is too good for him.
no, I think USC can't take a risk.
And you think that Josh McDaniels isn't a risk when he failed as a head coach and has only shown he can
He
do it
is
as a
far
coordinator?
less of a risk than Eric Bieniemy.
Okay.
Far less of a risk. And I think the U.S. and again, this goes probably back to how much I value the USC job because I do. USC needs to hire somebody who's held a trophy over their head as a head coach. So I would not hire Josh McDaniels. I would not hire Eric Bieniemy. I would hire Chris Peterson, Kyle Whittingham. I would try to hire Urban Meyer. If you haven't called Urban Meyer yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. Luke Fickell he hasn't won.
Yeah.
But he's got you 8th in the country, and you're in the Big 12. Okay, I'm not hiring Cristobal. Not hiring that. I'm hiring a proven winner, a program builder. I'm hiring a stud.
Right.
That and Eric Bieniemy will be that. Just don't think he is that. Greg Hawkins says, if I win that Traeger, I'd have it in my Utah address. Thank you. I agree with the Texas take. They're awful. Every year, I'd rather get my ass vacuumed in a hot tub than watch them, Jeremy Bolton says. Now, I feel like we had an argument and the show's taken a negative turn.
No, it's fine.
Brylark says, don't forget the Josh McDaniels Denver Broncos experiment. Well, yeah, and for sure. And where did Andy Reid get his quarterback knowledge from? BYU, baby. Exactly right. As an Eagle fan, I'll never forgive Donovan McNabb's partying the night before the Super Bowl and then throwing up in the middle of the game. But with that being said, he is still the best QB in Eagles history. I would agree with that. Although, I don't know about Randall Cunningham.
No.
Ron Jaworski? I don't know. Different conversation.
Okay.
All right, let's talk Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Because now you're all pissed off and
No, I'm fine.
I should punch you in the face.